Hello and welcome to the Christmas 2022 video. Now, unfortunately, I am on my own again. I was hoping to do the traditional thing of me and Matthew being on it, but couldn't get hold of him this year. So,
what do you mean Matthew's not here this year?
No, he's not here.
He's such a nonce.
He is a nonce.
Classic.
I apologise for the state of my man cave. The woman decided she didn't want to have clothes drying in the living room over Christmas, so they've been stuck here. Fortunately, that isn't important. What is important is whiskey, as is tradition. So, what's on this year's Christmas video? This year we're going to talk about our favourite RC memories of the year gone by. And I actually want to hear from you guys as well. So from last Christmas, 2021, to this Christmas, what has been your favourite RC memories? Now, for me, I have a draw, 2 of them. However, I also have a sort of also ran a runner-up, an honourable mention I should give as well. So, without further ado, and again, I want to hear from you guys as well. My runner-up spot sort of thing is the day I returned to RC racing. Okay, so, and it, specifically, the first race I returned to RC racing. In case you didn't know, when I returned to GT12 racing, so I said return to GT12 racing, returned to racing with GT12s. Previously I raced touring cars, GT12s didn't exist back in the day, it was 17 years ago, so I brought in GT12 Schumacher Atom 2 under this new club I'd never been to before, and had an absolute blast ever since. Now, on my first race, I had no idea what to expect. Never raced a rear-wheel drive car before, never raced a 1/12 before, never raced a brushless system before, never raced lipos before, so there was a lot of unknowns going into it. I also never raced a car with a weird tub chassis thing with a pivot, and you know, touring cars were 4-wheel drive, 4 wishbone suspension, proper shocks, oil filled. The GT12 cars are nothing like that, so it was completely unknown to me. And on my first race, I put the car down in last because I had no ranking, pirouetted on the spot because I hadn't dried the foam tyres off enough. You're supposed to put the additive on for a little while before the race, dry it off, make sure it's thoroughly dried. I thought I dried it enough, evidently not, and getting to the grid, it was just pirouetting around. Eventually, I got away relatively well, but from last and sort of walled around for a couple of laps until the tyres dried off sufficiently. Anyway, the reason this race is on my runner-up list, also ran, is because I won my first race on a return after 17 years. In fact, I won all 3 of my heat races. And thinking about it now, playing it back in my mind, standing on that stage, the straight was along here, to my right, and it was coming towards me. That body shell, I don't know if you can see it at the camera, the Castrol Porsche livery, the car was brand new, brand spanking new, just built it. So the bearings were brand new as well. It was silent, it never had a crash, so it tracked straight as an arrow. It looked pristine, there wasn't a mark on it, on the body shell or anything. And seeing that Porsche with that beautiful Castrol livery coming towards me, seeing it track arrow straight, and for the race I was in, it was pretty quick, it was quite fast. It might have been the fastest car in that race, I don't know. When I moved up a level, it became the slowest car, because all the cars in the lowest heat turned down a bit, or they've got cheaper motors or whatever. Just seeing that car come towards me, specifically on the straight, and just powering past everybody, tracking straight as an arrow, and despite all my expectations of having to fight this small thing with only rear-wheel drive, it was so easy to drive, it was so forgiving, it was just with me the whole time. And thinking back on that memory just makes me smile. It's so nice to think about. Just, I love that car, just the way it was going. It completely exceeded my expectations, massively. Yeah, it was lovely. But the reason that's only a mention, or honourable mention, rather than one of the ones that I would put to the top is, at the time, I was nervous. I was so anxious going into the race. I didn't know what was going. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was completely rigid. I didn't know what to do, and my inputs were really sporadic and twitchy, and there was no flow to it. I was not comfortable. I was way out of my comfort zone, way out of my depth, and although I ended up winning the race quite handily, and in fact I was nervous for the first 2 or 3 races. I needed to calm down, settle down, get into it, but I was all sort of pent up, and that kind of makes it fall down for me, because at that moment it wasn't entirely fun. But looking back, brilliant, fantastic. I wouldn't have changed a thing. It was wonderful. Now, staying on the racing subject, my joint winner for happiest RC memory of 2022, or since Christmas 2021, is getting into the A final for the first time. That happened on the 25th of November this year. I'd gone through a lot with that car. A lot, ups and downs, failing to understand how to get it in, dialed in. The setups are completely different to what I was used to. It was a very steep learning process. And I enjoyed it massively. But there were times where the car was terrible, times where I couldn't work out what was going on, specifically with my tyre prep issues I had towards the second half of the year when I started using 2 sets of tyres. It was evil, it just didn't handle, it was all over the place, it would just spit you out around corners randomly. You know, the back end would just let go, which it didn't lap before or whatever. It was really, really twitchy, horrible. But having gone through all of that, learned and adapted and changed and asked people and gotten help from people. The people at the club are great. They're really, really good people. Yeah, really nice. Very happy to help you out, very friendly. And then on the 25th of November, I got into the A final, which was my goal. My goal was to get into the A final for the first time since coming back after 17 years. I haven't been in an A final for 17 years. And what a feeling. Couldn't believe, I was nervous as hell going into the A final because it was all the fast guys. I didn't want to get into their way, didn't want to take out the car accidentally when I was getting lapped. I actually gave them too much time. If someone was catching up to lap me, I was like, okay, I'll just pull over and stop. Not quite stop, but you know, I was losing too much time myself to let them pass, but it was fine because I'd made it into the A final. I had no expectations to come other than last. There were 6 of us in the A final. I fully expected to come 6th. I was starting 6th. Actually, I ended up coming 4th because like one guy retired. I don't know what happened to the other guy. Can't remember. But anyway, not the point. When I finished that evening driving home, I just was giggling to myself in the car, driving the Alpha back home, actually saying to myself, I got into the A final, I got into the A final. I couldn't believe I was buzzing. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, you guys, some of you will know exactly what I mean and will be right with me, understand how I'm feeling. Some folk will be like, so it's just an RC car. But I think most of you will be the former. It was great fun. I was so buzzing. I got home, I told Rachel, and I told my family, and I told my brother-in-law, Matthew, and I told my work colleagues. Most of them didn't give a shit. But yeah, it was great fun. I just, getting into the A final. What a laugh. Brilliant. Absolutely superb. I've done it a few times since, but nothing beats that first time getting into the A final. What a rush. And finally, moving on from the racing, my other joint favourite RC memory of this year. And that was driving the King Yellow for the first time. What a laugh. If you want to summarise why the RC hobby is such a wonderful hobby, you could do it many ways. You can do it based on the people you meet, like-minded people. It's always great meeting like-minded people with the same passions, always is. You could talk about the technical aspect, the fact that you can adjust, create and change and adapt and all of the rest of it. You could talk about the customization aspect, the fact that I could build a car, you could build a car, I could paint a car, you could paint a car. We could start with the same kit and end up with something completely different from each other. You know, it's like when you play a computer game, a racing computer game, like that Forza thing. The best bit about those is customizing, upgrading, changing the color, changing the way it looks, all the rest of it, and then using it. But that's not real, it's digital. This, the RC hobby, is the ultimate expression of that customization, because, okay, it's not a real car, but it is real, it's a tangible thing. And the customization options on your computer game are limited to whatever is programmed in that game. You can maybe change one main color or two main colors, or you can change what the wheels look like or whatever, but there's pretty limited scope. With these, the scope is basically unlimited. You can have any paint job under the sun. You can pick any wheels and tire combination you can possibly think of. You can have supercars, you can have hatchbacks, you can have monster trucks, you can have anything you want. You can express it using this hobby. That's what I like so much about it. But another way you could describe that this is a wonderful hobby is simply the fun factor. The way it makes you smile and laugh, right? And I believe, obviously you get super fast stuff, like Armas. You get serious stuff, like race cars. But I believe that the company that sums up the fun factor of the RC community, the RC hobby, Tamiya sits right at the top. Right at the top. Because something like that is dynamically terrible, right? But what a laugh. Matthew and I used 6x6s for the first time on the street outside my parents' house. I used my King Yellow, he used his Kong head. And we were laughing the entire time. It was so funny, specifically the bedoing. It's a very key thing, a very key aspect to 6x6 ownership is the bedoing, specifically the G601 ownership. And that is the sprung front bumper. So you can, especially if you've got a fast one, those are brushless. So you, 3,500 kV. So you, so you're driving along on the tarmac and then you slam the brakes on and it tips onto the front and then goes bedoing off this sprung front bumper. And if you get it right, you can bedoing, or even bedoing. It's quite, you know, it's a balancing act. But it's brilliant fun. Brilliant fun. Touring cars on the street are brilliant fun too because they're so capable, and racing against somebody else with a touring car can be a right laugh. And you are, well, at least personally, I'm quite in awe of the capability sometimes. The fact that you're throwing it around. You scale that up to a full size, or even a real touring car in the BTCC, for example. I can't change direction like that. It's not possible. So that's fun in itself. But the daft stuff is more fun more of the time. And it's more fun at lower speeds. Much lower speeds. You don't need to be pushing the envelope in order to have fun. Who's pushing the envelope driving a lunchbox? Or a heavy dump truck? Nobody. Nobody's pushing the envelope. They don't even work at higher speeds. What you need is something that's stupid and fun to offset your serious race car or your serious whatever. Armor limitless. That's what I think anyway. That's what I believe. Yeah, driving that for the first time and having endo-bedoing competitions with Matthew's Kong head. What a laugh. What a laugh. So that again, equal first with getting to the A final for the first time. One of them was a goal I was trying to achieve and I finally achieved it. The other one was, let's just put it on the street and see what happens. And I couldn't have been happier with it. Brilliant. So there we are. My favourite memories of RC of this past year. But what about you? Let me know. I do want to hear about it. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. All the rest of that good stuff. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful Christmas. Drink and be merry. Merry Christmas. And Happy New Year if I don't see you. Because I might not. But we'll see. Thank you everybody. Take care. Have a good one. Bye bye.